Patrick Creighton, Institute for Energy Research, joins us to talk about President Obama's plan to offer $2.3 billion to create 17,000 green jobs. I do the math. That seems like a very expensive 17,000 jobs. Nevertheless, do you think this is going to work?
Well, Tracy, I don't even know what a green job is. And I think the vast majority of the American people don't know what a green job is. But at the end of the day, this administration and its allies on Capitol Hill are throwing billions of dollars at unproven technologies. You see, if these technologies were viable, if wind and solar energy were economically viable, they wouldn't require these massive government handouts. So I think as the American people begin to learn more about this, they're going to continue to be outraged, as they are with cap and trade and climate change.
Patrick, won't these, as you said, wind and solar, won't they at some point in time become economically viable once we get past this? I don't know whether you want to call it an exploration phase or figuring out a way to do it, and then we just do it on a massive scale. I mean, isn't that somewhere down the road, and maybe it's worth spending on the upfront to get to that point?
Well, Chris, we've spent tens of billions of dollars already. They've been talking about solar and wind technology since, well, heck, the Jimmy Carter days. Mm-hmm. The U.S. government spent over $19 billion since 2000 on these technologies. Now, we're not against government R&D, but when you are completely subsidizing an energy industry over one other segment of the energy industry, it's just not fair. The government's picking winners and losers here because they're pleasing their special interest allies.
Well, and that's a very good point in and of itself. But let's go back to why we shouldn't start turning over to this green plan. We're relying on oil, gas, coal right now. To Chris's point, we should make an attempt to move forward and try to be more efficient and potentially invest in more efficient ways of doing things.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all, Tracy. I think that we should make the investments. And when I say we, the private sector, not the government, should be investing in R&D and other technologies. But you can't discount the notion that coal, oil, and natural gas represent 85% of our energy mix in this country. You're not going to put up enough windmills or build enough solar panels to make a dent in that. The Energy Information Agency predicts that in 2050, we'll still be dependent on fossil energy for over 75% of our energy needs. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't be going down and exploring all types of energy, but the government shouldn't be in the business of picking winners and losers.
Patrick, does the American public in general understand that whether it's exploring for traditional fossil fuels or the fuels we've used here in this country traditionally, do we understand how dangerous that is for the environment, or how clean or how safe that might be for the environment now versus 20, 30 years ago? Is that understanding there? Or you think more education needs to take place?
Well, that's a great point, Chris. We've got the most stringent environmental policies on the books in this country. We've got the cleanest air and the cleanest water. But this administration and its predecessors, this is not a Democrat-Republican issue. Members of both parties have been absolutely terrible when it comes to increasing domestic energy production. We're the only country in the industrialized world that does not readily produce off our coasts. Your previous guest talked about China. Well, China's scouring this globe, sucking up energy resources, whether it be in Latin America, South America, or Africa. We've got a lot of big oil companies in this country. I'm convinced, not that I can speak for them, but I'm convinced they'd much rather invest here in the United States as opposed to going abroad. But the administration's policies and that of the past 30 years have forced them to go offshore. So let's look at our domestic energy policy here in this country, and let's open up all sources. Let's not pick winners and losers. Let's not employ a Tanya Harding energy policy where you break your opponent's knees to get ahead.
Yeah, no one needs to bring back Jeff Gillooly. Let's just leave sleeping dogs alive.
Chris, there's plenty of Jeff Gillooly's out there, trust me.
And most of them live in Jersey. All right, thanks, Patrick.
You knew that was coming.
Sorry, it was a low blow. My bad, low blow. We'll see you, Patrick.
Patrick, thank you very
much.
Take
care, guys.
Patrick Creighton from the Institute for Energy Research joining us. In his notes, he estimated that if we started drilling off the continental shelf, that is $270 billion a year added to our economy.
Well, there's so much to be said about we should have a plan here at home. We should be thinking about this. But his point about how we're selectively picking an industry and giving them tax credits is also a very good one. You want to get people off salt and have better healthy lifestyles. How come we're not giving gym owners tax credits and things like that? Why don't I get a tax credit for going to the gym?